We'd like to welcome the NCW Live studios right now, Josh Cato. He's a nurse practicing at Central Washington Hospital and the clinic through Confluence Health. But he's also a competitive mountain bike rider, endurance bike races that he's involved in. And he's here to tell us about a race that he's been doing now for the last 4 years. It's called the Tour Divide Race. And it's a really epic adventure because it's over 2,700 miles. It begins in Banff, Canada, and ends in Antelope Wells, New Mexico, at the Mexico border. Over 2,700 miles. It's a self-supported race. Josh, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
What a story you have to tell, because you've done this now 4 times, correct?
Well, I've started 4 times. I've finished twice now.
Finished twice?
Yes.
And we'll get into that in a second. But tell us more about this huge Tour Divide race.
Well, the Tour Divide started as kind of just a gentleman's agreement of seeing how fast someone could get from Banff to Mexico. And roughly follows the Continental Divide. Basically, it follows mostly the motorcycle track that's kind of been established down the continent. There is a hiking trail, but that's a little too rough for and would take too long for most of us to ride it on a bicycle. So we closely follow more of the gravel roads and Jeep roads down the route. It's about 10% single track, 10% pavement, and the rest is basically just primitive roads, gravel roads, dirt roads.
Boy, what a lonely adventure that would be, and it's all self-supported, as I understand.
It is,
You're fully self-contained.
Correct, yeah. We basically carry our own sleeping gear and all of our own repair items. We can procure any repair items that we need along the route that would be publicly available, but there is absolutely no outside support available. So nobody can be following you along in a van, giving you supplies, no prearranged meetings along the way. So yeah, it's pretty much a self-supported ride, and you do ride most of it alone.
And you won the race, as I understand, in record time.
I did. In 2015, it was quite a race. We had a very competitive field, and I was able to manage to get to the front and win that race. Yeah.
2,700 miles in what, 14 days?
In 2015, yeah, I finished in 14 days and 11 hours, which at the time, yes, was a record.
You got to tell us how you do that. That just amazes me. The physical challenges that poses alone.
It does. Interestingly, for most of us, it actually becomes more of a mental race, though. It's just such a long race, and you're out there so much alone. It really becomes more of a mental challenge than it does a physical. I mean, yeah, you've got to get on your bike and you just keep riding it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it comes down to short stops. Most of us don't sleep more than 4 hours a night. Kind of minimize those stops. We just grab what we need at a gas station for the most part and get on the bike and eat it on the bike. And when we're tired, we fall in the ditch and go to sleep for a while.
Well, there's a lot of climbing involved.
There is. It's a very mountainous route. We cross the divide numerous times, the Continental Divide numerous times on the race. And we're basically just going up and down mountains from one mountain range to another. And it does a lot of climbing, but at the same time, then you get a lot of descending as well. Yeah. Josh
Cato joining us here on NCW Live News right now, sharing his participation in the Tour Divide race. Now, as I understand it, again, you've been involved in this race 4 times. You've only finished twice. Could you tell us the other 2 times? What happened?
Well, I think the overall finish rate is only about 50% for most people on this race. So I think I'm right on the right on the mark now. In 2014, when I competed in the race, I got about 500 miles into the race. Ended up crashing. There was quite a bit of snow that year and mud, so I ended up crashing in the snow and mud. And
broke your leg.
Ended up, fracturing my fibula. The thing that actually got me out of the race was I tore my hamstring. I just couldn't move that leg anymore. But I got about 1,000 miles down the route after that crash, and ended up having to withdraw. I just physically couldn't pedal anymore. I thought it was going to be the only time I was going to be able to compete in the race, so I really wanted to push and see if I could finish out. But
heard you had a close encounter with maybe a road rage incident one year.
Yes, that was last year. So in 2016, close actually to where I crashed in 2014. I was driven off the road by a pickup truck and ended up going off the road.
Was this in Canada or U.S.?
It was in Montana, actually.
Montana.
Yeah, it was in Montana, and a very narrow road, steep hillside. So I ended up going off the road at that point and had to withdraw again.
So you're done with the race this year?
I am done with the race this year. I finished in 15 days, and I believe it was 6 hours this year.
How many riders?
This year we had a record group start. It was almost 200 people starting.
No
the race.
kidding.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and they're all from all over the United States and Canada, I would imagine.
Correct, and actually we've got a large international contingent as well.
So what kind of equipment do you use? What kind of a bike?
Basically, we're using, a lot of people are using just kind of a standard mountain bike specialized for more of this type of riding. I mean, we've got to have gear that's going to go 2,700 miles, hopefully.
Yeah, so you go through a lot of tires.
Well, actually, I have one set of tires will get most of us.
No kidding.
From one end to the other. It gets pretty thin by the end, but yeah. So I'm riding a Salsa gravel type of bike, though. Okay. It's the brand of bike that we use, and they're very large into the gravel grinding, adventure type of biking, bike packing.
Composite?
Yes, yeah, correct. Yeah, all carbon
lightweight.
fiber, lightweight stuff. Yeah, weight becomes a big issue since you're climbing over 200,000 feet. The less weight you have, the faster you'll go.
Well, obviously you have to be pretty economical in terms of what you're packing with you too.
We do, yeah. For instance, this year I didn't even carry a sleeping bag. I basically just carried my down jacket and actually a pair of down booties and an extremely lightweight bivy sack.
Not the perfect thing for a good night's sleep.
No, but
how much sleep do you get during the race?
After riding 200 miles in a day, you're pretty sleepy, so I can sleep anywhere pretty much.
Now you talk about the races on your blog, and you also describe it as a character builder for you and your wife. So tell us about that.
Well, my wife competed in 2014 as well, and she did finish the race that year. The year I had to drop out.
Her name Valerie?
Valerie, yes, yeah. So she completed the race in 2014. And it's great fun. I mean, we go out for our training, and spending night up in the mountains with the bikes is great. It's backpacking, but with the bike.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. So you're planning to do it again next year?
We'll see. My body might need a year off. I'm not sure, but at this point, a couple weeks after I finish, it looks more attractive again.
Well, what's the prize at the end of the line? What do you get for winning?
Satisfaction.
That's it. Huh?
Yeah, it's basically there's no entry fee to the race. There's
bragging rights.
It's bragging rights. Yeah, and I mean you get a bit of exposure, so a little bit of sponsorship here or there, but it's mostly just for the accomplishment of doing the race more than anything.
Wonderful. Well, you can learn more about Josh Cato and the Tour Divide race on your blog site, and we'll share that with you a little bit later on as well. What is the blog site again?
faroutwanderings.com, I believe it is.
Yeah, just do a Google search. You'll find him there. But again, hey, thanks for stopping by, Josh, and good luck to you.
Well, thank you, Steve.
And good luck with your work as well. A nurse at Confluence Health. Josh Cato joining us on NCW Life News.